What's going on, guys? Welcome to the YouTube channel for Wrap Matrix. We're gonna be starting this channel with the anticipation of it being hype and educational, showing you guys the difference between PPF, vinyl. We're gonna be doing some tint project, capitalizing on commercial wraps, commercial versus customer wraps, stuff like that. In this video, we're specifically going to go over the difference between wrap and PPF, specifically colored PPF. We're a pro installer for Evolve, which was just nominated as the best PPF manufacturer at SEMA 2025. Behind us, we have a 2002 Toyota Tacoma that is very much an overland vehicle. It has lots of parts, sees lots of dirt. And the debate between should I wrap it or should I do PPF? We went back and forth quite a few times until we started going over the pros and cons and the differences between wrap and PPF. So I want to make two lists up here. I'm going to show you guys the pros and cons of each, and then we're going to go over what we decided to do for John's truck. I'm going to get some of this material. A piece of it so that we can do some experimentation. Spoiler alert, John went with PPF for a few reasons. One of them being longevity, which is what we're gonna talk about first. Vinyl is typically gonna last you anywhere between 1 and 5 years, depending on quality and how it is manufactured. PPF comes with a warranty of 10 years. So double the duration and durability of vinyl. So let's toss this up here. Okay, so here I have printed vinyl, which is probably 80 to 90% of our wraps, versus colored PPF, which has just come to the market. It's probably been here for a year or two, so very new. Most people are used to clear PPF, and then from clear we got black, we got satin clear, and then we were introduced to the colors, which is what this is. So off the bat, I want to go over the differences. Grab a heat gun. This PPF, I'm going to heat it up and you're going to see it has a decent amount, stretches really well, but it does not shrink by itself. It won't shrink. Unless you stretch it, it ain't shrinking. This, from the manufacturer, this is a cast vinyl, which means it's already pre-shrunk, but once you heat it up again to the heat it's supposed to be, it shrinks another 3 to 5%. Calendared vinyl shrinks another 5 to 7%. So people will ask, why did my vinyl retract in a certain spot? Well, because it still has room to shrink. So I kind of lined it up with exactly the piece that I pulled it from. And you can see there's a gap and a gap. So vinyl's ability to shrink, be stretched, shrink back is really, really nice. Most vinyl is significantly thinner, more malleable, releases air significantly easier. This stuff is thicker, less malleable. It does not shrink. It's more of like a stretch, retract type of material. This, you can stretch it and it'll stick or stay at the stretched version of it until you add heat, in which case it will retract. So what we were doing yesterday, okay, so we got our before, and what we're going to do is we're just going to stretch it. I'm pulling it pretty hard. Ugh. It wants to go back to where it was. But it will stretch pretty good. Now let's add a little bit of heat to it. Literally back to the way it was, but it wants to, when you stretch it, does want to go back immediately. Now, with the vinyl, you can stretch this stuff. It won't have a very good initial cold stretch. It's kind of a stiffer. So you try to pull on vinyl without heat, it'll start to rip. But with heat, then when you release it, see how it wants to hold the distance? That's a big difference. This was right here after, and I pulled it way further. It came down to like here. This one I pulled down to like right here, about the same. Pull, but it's maintained after was right there. So it can come back to its original shape though. So let's heat this up. Back to where it was before. So both of them have very good retraction styled properties. Thinner, thicker. This one will hold a stretch a little bit better than that one, even though they're pulled to about the same length. Now let's talk about corners, because this is probably the deal breaker for me when it comes to vinyl versus PPF, and a lot of this also comes down to skill. Once you start working with this PPF every single day, you get better at it and you start to like it more than vinyl. The problem is a full wrap of this is anywhere between $6,000 and $20,000. A full wrap with this is anywhere between $2.5 to $6,000. So I would say this is almost 30 to 40% more expensive. A roll of vinyl to wrap a car, $700. A roll of PPF to wrap a car, $2,200. So cost difference is definitely there. Then you got your warranty. Now I'm going to show you guys a little thing right here. Let's start with the vinyl, pros of vinyl here. So I'll tack this upper section. So what I would do with this is we would pull it, cold stretch it, make like a little indent. Trying to make this easy for viewers to understand. Okay, so I would so this is printed. I gotta remember I'm dealing with printed stuff. So if you stretch it too much, it'll discolor. Okay, so let me pull it, wrap that corner. Okay, you can kind of tack it, and you pull it up, pull there. Okay. So now what we can do is once we have it around that edge, you can heat it, and you'll see that it really conforms to that edge really well. And then from there, my nice little bowl. But great coverage. That's what vinyl is going to offer you. Easier to work with, especially at the beginner level. Great coverage, way easier to cut. Okay, now we remove this, transition over to the PPF. Okay, this is a really easy spot to be able to do this. Where it gets tricky is when you're in spots that don't allow you to have this much control over your material. That looks freaking really good. So this one shrunk up really well. Okay, so you can see how when you add the heat, it still has a lot of the similar properties where it will be able to take on that corner. Then cutting it. It's challenging. Even when your blade is hella sharp. I'll break it just to show viewers. I think we just broke it, that's the problem. And a lot of the time with PPF, you'll end up scoring it and then popping it like that. And you can go even deeper and contort, press it into body lines and whatnot. So I hope this is answer some of our questions from our viewers. Should I go PPF? See how hard that is to cut, but it'll rip when you make the score. So anyway, actually looks pretty freaking good. We're also learning about this stuff as well as we're going along. This just hands down is cheaper, easier to install. We're used to doing this vinyl. This more expensive, a little harder to install, especially when it comes to edges, indented stuff. It doesn't conform as well as this stuff, and it doesn't hold areas. So you really have to like feed vinyl into a spot or PPF into its spot, because if not, with the heat, it will retract and pull itself out. Where vinyl doesn't do that as much. If you have the money, it's definitely worth doing this, 100%. This is just something that's way more popular to the public. It's also way more affordable, especially if you're doing a fleet. But if you buy a vehicle and you're looking to keep it for a long time, this is the way to go. I just did a satin clear on my wife's Sequoia and it looks phenomenal. A lot of these edges are kind of like the things that I hate the most just because it's a little bit thicker. But we found out with a torch, you can actually scorch the end of these and it will almost melt around the corners to help hold a lot better. Higher initial tack is the other thing. So if you come over here, you can see that like, see how it like wants to grab. And even if you watch these guys, they're gonna apply a piece. They'll go half and half, but this PPF just has a higher tack. It just wants to tack up. This doesn't want to tack, and it's because there is air release technology and silicone balls that sit on the surface of the adhesive to keep it from tacking until you add pressure, and that's when it sticks. This stuff doesn't have that. So you can see when Craig originally applies the PPF, there is a stronger need to apply an initial stretch so it conforms to curved edges, where vinyl, it is important, but it's not as imperative for PPF. So different install styles by probably 20%. You got a lot of similar stuff. You'll see that there's a there's a huge mixture. See how he brought up the vinyl before he did this section? You want to feed into it, because if you don't release the tension and feed into it, it'll end up retracting and that concave part will pop out. You can see how that initial tack makes it pretty challenging when getting behind things.
Like a bro.
Yep. So what Craig's gonna do is he's gonna do an initial stretch and get basically the center line so that he can tack, go up, and then go down. PPF tends to show more through it as well, where vinyl I feel like is able to hide a few things. This stuff is anywhere between 3 and 5 millimeters thick, and then this stuff is anywhere between 6, 8, 10, 12. It's just thicker, especially with the adhesive. Loses its tack a little quicker, so expert install, more of a beginner install. I would say anything higher than this is gonna be clear, because this you can stretch pretty freely without seeing stretch marks underneath it or adhesive marks, where if you were to stretch clear too far, you see the adhesive starting to like crack and separate when you stretch it too far over an edge. So you really have to break up that stretch over a larger section versus, you know, a 4-inch section right at the end to be able to cap an end. So if you're in the market, you're looking for a wrap, you want to do a color change, you're debating, do I go vinyl or do I go PPF? If you're gonna go PPF, make sure you find a certified shop that knows what they are doing, because it's just a harder install. So there's a higher chance it's gonna look like shiz if they don't do it correctly. Versus vinyl, you can get away and take shortcuts because you can stretch it, you can shrink it, it's more malleable, it holds its form a little bit better, you don't have to worry about it retracting quite as bad. Plus, you're paying a 30 to 40% increased premium when doing colored PPF. Judd's gonna walk around, follow these guys, ask them questions. You're gonna see some of the install techniques from the guys as they're installing it. Maybe ask them, what is your favorite thing about the PPF? What is your least favorite thing about the PPF? Then we'll wrap this video up and hopefully it helps you decide on your next wrap whether you should go vinyl or PPF.
What's your preference, wrap or PPF? And then what do you like better and why don't you?
I prefer vinyl, you know, actual normal wrap. It's easier to work with. It's faster. It doesn't require as much prep. But this stuff just looks amazing. I mean, honestly, the PPF it's beautiful. You really can't beat the looks of it. And I heard it's a 10-year warranty. I heard. Rumor has it. Our boy John here, he's warrantied up.
I think it's all just preference, really. I don't mind PPF. It is a different kind of workflow, I guess. But in my opinion, it looks twice as good. Warranties 3 times as long, and I don't know, it just looks good.
Personally, I would say PPF is probably the better way to go because of the warranty. 10-year warranty, like Cole said. But I think the colors and the shine is a lot better on the PPF. There's no orange peel to it, so it's going to give you more of that paint finish that most people are looking for. But when it comes to installability, I would definitely suggest vinyl for beginners.
I'll probably say I agree with the boys. The 10-year warranty is phenomenal, and I don't know, I think the way the PPF doesn't have like an orange peel look to it looks a lot better, and yeah, vinyl's easier to work with, but PPF's probably the move if you can afford it.